Silva, and you are listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome inside Southern Maryland. Andrew Banster alongside Austin Rooney as we take you through the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. Here as Southern Maryland looks for their second consecutive series win. It's coming against the New Britain Bees today in Game 4 of a 5-game set. Last series for the Blue Crabs, they took home their first series win of the year, looking to do it in consecutive games. When you look back at these last 2 weeks for Southern Maryland, they see their best 2 winning streaks of the season. The latter of which was the longest of the season. It was scrapped last night against the New Britain Bees as the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs fell by a score of 4-2. 3 of those New Britain Bees runs came in the top of the first inning. Corey Vaughn had his 3rd home run in his last 2 days, last 3 games played. Andrew Banster alongside Austin Rooney as the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs come in with a record of 15-31. The New Britain Bees 23-21 on a beautiful June 12th night. Austin, we're in for a good one and possibly some history.
Yeah, it's true. This should be a good matchup between 2 pitchers who are some of the best right now in the entire Atlantic League. Between Christian Friedrich, who has been outstanding recently, and, of course, Daryl Thompson, who has an opportunity to go into 5th place all-time in total innings pitched in the Atlantic League.
As Daryl comes out to the mound, he is the hometown hero for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs in his 8th season in Southern Maryland. You mentioned it. With his 4th out recorded tonight, he will move into 5th all-time in Atlantic League history in innings pitched with 854. As for wins, if he gets the win tonight, he'll move into 5th all-time in wins in Atlantic League history with a total of 100 and make that of 48 as the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs take on the New Britain Bees. Austin, what went wrong for the Blue Crabs last night? Why weren't they able to get 5 in a row?
Well, they weren't able to get offense consistently in last night's contest, and they went down early and were never able to rebound. They scored 1 run in the bottom of the first inning, but aside from that, the bats were unable to drive in runs. I will say, though, that the Blue Crabs did have their fair share of hits. They actually had 11 total and out-hit New Britain, but they were unable to come up with a win as they couldn't drive in any runs from innings 2 through 8.
And that's been a little bit of the problem on both sides of the spectrum for the Blue Crabs. There's been a lot of games this season in which the Blue Crabs allow a lot of base runners, whether it be via the hit, the walk, what have you. Sometimes they hold off those base runners for a long time, and then there's one big inning for the opponents in which the game goes awry. As for the Blue Crabs, many times they get runners on and get runners on early in innings, but are unable to get them to score. We've talked about it all homestand long, and it stays relevant today. Scoring first needs to be the key for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. This is a trend across all of baseball, not just here in Southern Maryland, but we talk about the Blue Crabs in particular. On the season, they are 11-8 in games in which they score first, 4-23 in games in which the opponent scores first. And with Daryl Thompson on the mound, I like our chances, Austin.
Yeah, well, Daryl Thompson, someone who is always relied heavily upon to get some wins because he is someone who is a veteran in this league and has put up good numbers. His last 3 starts, he's been decent. You know, he's allowed 3 runs his last time out against Sugar Land. 2 starts ago against Lancaster went 8 innings, allowing 3 runs. And then the time before at High Point, 6 2/3 innings, allowed 5 earned runs. One thing that is very consistent for Daryl Thompson across the board, he pitches deep into contests. In all but 1 start this season, he's gone at least 6 innings of work.
As you look at the body of work for Daryl Thompson, he has a 2-5 win-loss record on the season with a 4.2 ERA. This will be his 368th career start. It's his 146th career appearance in the Atlantic League, his 138th start in the Atlantic League. He has dominated the Atlantic League in his career dating back to 2015. 61 of his last 81 starts have been quality starts. In 67 of those 80, he has allowed 3 or less earned runs. That is absolutely terrific. We mentioned the record watch for Daryl tonight, as his brilliant career will finally come back to reward him. History in the making. Tonight's start for Daryl Thompson will be a historic outing in one way or another. The hometown hero comes into tonight's game tied for 5th in the Atlantic League. history in wins with 47, in 6th place in Atlantic League history in innings pitched. Once he is 1 1/3 into this ballgame tonight, he'll find himself with a total of 854 career innings in the Atlantic League. That will put him dead on right at 5th place in history. With the win tonight, he would move up to 48 career Atlantic League wins. That would put him in 5th place in Atlantic League history as well. Austin, let's get our Walkmen out of the way. No, we're not talking about an MP3 player. We are talking about who do we predict will be a Blue Crab that walks this evening. Not a single Blue Crab drew a walk tonight, Austin. Do you have an idea?
I am going to go with Valerio. He's been hitting the ball very well recently. You know what? Scratch that. I'm going Vaughn, who's been hitting the ball even better recently. He's got 3 home runs in this series. B's pitching is not going to want to pitch to him tonight. I see him drawing at least 1 walk this evening.
Yeah, and I had Vaughn too, but I can't pick the same as you, so I'll change my answer. I'm going to give it to John Griffin. I think that Griffin is hitting the ball terrifically of late. He is 4 for 7 in this series against his former team. I've got Griffin, you've got Vaughn. One of us has each of the Bash Bros. As we look at the trends for Southern Maryland and for the New Britain Bees, I think that this contest comes down to walks and strikeouts, if we want to simplify it as much as we possibly can. The Blue Crabs hitting on the season has drawn the least walks of any Atlantic League team. The New Britain Bees have drawn more walks than anybody in the league. As for the New Britain Bees pitching, they, on the other hand, are not quite as solid from a defensive perspective in that specific category. And the Blue Crabs haven't been absolutely terrific in the category either. When you look at strengths versus strengths in this ball game, that would be the Blue Crabs pitching versus the New Britain Bees hitting. Southern Maryland pitching has been very good this year. New Britain Bees hitting has been terrific. The Bees have the best average as a team in the entire league. In fact, only 3 Blue Crabs have as good as what the New Britain Bees team averages. When you look at a weakness versus a weakness, the New Britain Bees have the highest team ERA in the league, while the Blue Crabs have the lowest team batting average. So what this is going to come down to is who can excel at what they are not particularly dominant at, and who can even more so excel and stop the other side from what each are dominant in. The Bees come into this game with a 23-21 record, 4th place in the Liberty Division and 5.5 back of Long Island. Their starting lineup reads as follows. They'll lead off with the shortstop, number 2, Alexia Marista. Batting second, the third baseman with a strong arm, number 1, Ozzy Martinez. Batting third, the center fielder, number 8, Alejandro Deaza. Batting fourth in the cleanup spot, it's the first baseman, number 9, Jason Rogers. Smack dab in the middle of the order, in the 5-hole, the second baseman, number 25, Taylor Motter. Batting sixth, the left fielder, number 11, Jared James. 7-8-9 for the Bees reads as follows. It's the designated hitter, number 10, Jonathan Galvez. Batting eighth, right fielder, number 28, Bijan Rademacher. And batting ninth, the catcher, number 30, Logan Moore. On the mound for these New Britain Bees, the left-hander, number 23, Christian Friedrich. Now we have all been waiting for your Birch Oil starting lineups here on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. Leading off for the second night in a row, 3rd time on the season, in right field, number 23, Tony Thomas. Batting second, as he has in every Blue Crabs game this year, Ruby Silva. He plays second this evening for the Blue Crabs, and he wears number 12. Batting third, number 15, the left fielder, Joe Benson, followed by the cleanup man, the Cuba native, the first baseman, number 40, Jose Julio Ruiz. Smack dab in the middle of the Blue Crabs order is the center fielder, number 27, Corey Vaughn. Batting sixth, the catcher, number 8, Charlie Valerio. 7-8-9 for the Blue Crabs reads as follows. It starts off with my Walkman for the evening, the designated hitter, number 13, John Griffin. Batting eighth, the shortstop, number 9, Edwin Garcia. And rounding out the Blue Crabs lineup is number 7, the third baseman, Josh McAdams, as Daryl Thompson graces the bump here in Southern Maryland, knocking on the door of history in the Atlantic League, looking to climb the leaderboards in not one, but 2 pitching categories in this game alone. All he needs is an inning and 2/3, make that an inning and a third pitch to do so, as well as getting the win tonight. Let's step aside for just a brief moment. When we come back, it's time for Blue Crabs Baseball on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Western.
Charlie Valerio, and you are listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside Waldorf, Maryland, as we take you into this Game 4 of a 5-game series between the New Britain Bees and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Daryl Thompson on the mound on the brink of history here in Southern Maryland as he comes into tonight's game, an inning and a third shy of taking sole possession of the 5th most innings pitched in Atlantic League history. One of the best, if not, or as I should say, voted by you as the best Blue Crab of all time. You named him the GOAT in Blue Crab's history, and he is knocking on the door of history this evening. Additionally, if he gets the win tonight, He'll move into 5th all-time in Atlantic League history in wins with 48 in his total career. Daryl comes on the mound with his red pinstripe jersey, as the Blue Crabs have a lot of jerseys to choose from. In each of Daryl's last 2 home starts, he's opted with the red and white pinstripes. That not the most important point on the night, Austin, but I sure do like the jerseys.
Yeah, there's so many of them, and for the most part, I really like the Blue Crabs jerseys as well. I mean, I think I can't even name how many between this one, the normal home. I think they have the normal home whites. They've got the Maryland flag ones. I mean, there are a whole host of them. They've got the military appreciation jerseys. They just go on and on.
And so let's give you the starting lineups once more for the New Britain Bees, 23-21 on the season, 5.5 games back of the Long Island Ducks in the Liberty Division. They lead off with the shortstop, number 2, Alexi Amarista, followed by the third baseman, number 1, Ozzy Martinez. Batting third, the center fielder, number 8, Alejandro De Aza. Next up, Jason Rogers, followed by Taylor Motter, Jared James, Jonathan Galvez, Bijan Rademacher, and Logan Moore, with Christian Friedrich on the hill. We'll give you the Blue Crabs starting lineup in a moment as Daryl Thompson is ready to make his pathway to history. It's all led up to this point, as it will come to a pinnacle. He has a chance to climb the Atlantic League leaderboard in 2 categories here in his 8th season in Southern Maryland. Can't think of a more deserving candidate than Daryl Thompson. The hometown native went to high school less than 3 miles from Regency Furniture Stadium, and he's right on cue. His first pitch to Alexi Amarista crosses for a strike.
Yeah, Alexi Amarista, someone coming into this game who has certainly struggled recently. In his last 26 at-bats, he has just 3 hits. We'll make that 4.
As he comes through with a loop single to right field. And he's aboard for the first hit of this ballgame. If you're the Bees, that's how you were looking to start off, and now you'll send up the third baseman, number 1, Ozzy Martinez, who scored the 3rd most runs in the Atlantic League this season with 29 on the year. As Daryl Thompson comes on the mound, let's give you the Blue Crabs starting lineup. Tony Thomas leads us off, followed by Ruby Silva, Joe Benson, and Jose Julio Ruiz. Next up is Corey Vaughn, Charlie Valerio, and John Griffin. The 8-9, Edwin Garcia, and Josh McAdams. Thompson working out of the stretch after just 2 pitches. Puts his tan glove in front of his chest. Here he comes with the pitch. Fastball nearly misses the outside corner. Says the home plate umpire Nate Caldwell. At first is Derek Mosha, and at third is James Clayton. That your umpiring crew for this evening's contest. As Daryl Thompson is chasing history, and the Blue Crabs looking for their 2nd consecutive series win. Before their most previous series against the Sugarland Skeeters, Southern Maryland hadn't won a series all year. They're on the brink of winning back-to-back series here between the Skeeters to open this homestand and the Bees to end the homestand.
You make a good point about winning back-to-back series. That would be big for the Blue Crabs, as they'd have some positive momentum headed into the second half of the season.
Couple of signs from the New Britain Bees third base coach. Manager for the Bees is Goose Gazzo. Set on the hill is Daryl Thompson. Runner at first, Amarista. This pitch chopped over towards the left side. McAdams makes a tough play, ranging far to his right. A bullet across the infield. Josh McAdams, by no means an everyday third baseman, but boy, did he show off his arm. But Austin, we knew he had a good arm.
Yeah, Josh McAdams has played quite well in his limited action. He recently got a start in that doubleheader. He played pretty well, and Coach Stan Clyburn giving him another opportunity this afternoon against the Bees. And
I was alluding to his pitching time with the arm
exactly.
reference.
That's right.
As he has pitched in a couple of games for the Blue Crabs this year, allowing just 1 run in 4 innings. He hadn't pitched at all in his career. Leading up to that is Daryl Thompson will face a fellow MLB veteran in Alejandro De Aza.
De Aza is someone who's just such a consistent hitter. He's in the midst of an 11-game hit streak.
As he'll poke this one foul to count no balls and a strike.
And during that 11-game hit streak, his batting average is .356. You might say, well, that's quite good. But that .356 batting average is only slightly better than his batting average on the season, which stands at .337, meaning that this 11-game hit streak is basically par for the course for Alejandro De Aza.
Which really just speaks to how terrific he's been this season. This New Britain Bees team is an offensive juggernaut, to say the least, as the count now 1 ball and a strike.
Over there at second base, Alexi Amarista is taking a very healthy secondary lead to the extent that Valerio stood up and watched him go back to second base.
And both Valerio and Mike Falsetti, the other Blue Crabs catchers, are not afraid to snap a throw down. Thompson with a look back to second, now another. Coming home with the 1-1. This is a changeup, slap back into the screen, and the count of ball and 2 strikes.
And both catchers are starting to hit a lot better right now. We've talked about the success Valerio's had. Falsetti not in the lineup tonight, but he's in the midst of a 5-game hit streak.
Daryl Thompson, in 2 of his last 3 starts, has had really one of his only struggles be the fact that he's allowed a lot of leadoff hits. You look back at 2 of his last 3 starts combined, you see 8 of 10 innings that a leadoff hit was occurred. Hasn't struggled too much in those specific starts, however, as a looping curveball is drilled to deep left center field. Joe Benson on the backtrack. He will catch it over his shoulder, however, as Alexi Amarista will wisely tag up and move over to third base. Nice play by Benson, who was playing awfully shallow.
Yeah, I didn't quite see the reason he was playing so shallow, but he did a nice job to backtrack on that ball all the way to the warning track and make the catch. He had no play at third base. Did you see why he was playing so shallow?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. The only reason I would think is that Deaza is a left-handed hitter, but nonetheless, that really doesn't mean that much, as I'm not quite sure, as you now see Benson against the right-handed hitting Jason Rogers shifting pretty well into left center field.
And it's very interesting because there are these spots in the field. The grounds crew does an outstanding job, but there still are these brown spots which sort of occur when a player plays there for an extended period of time.
And he is really nowhere near those spots as the count moves to a ball and no strikes to Jason Rogers.
And at this point, he is probably, from our vantage point, at least 20 or 30 feet to the right of that spot.
Thompson comes back with a recovery fastball. We're at 1-1. As for Jason Rogers, when you look back at his season last year, he led the Bees in batting average with a .297. He led them in on-base percentage, OPS, multi-RBI games, second in multi-hit games, as well as leading the team in walks. Not too bad of a year.
Not at all. And talking about walks, we discussed Daryl Thompson, somebody who is absolutely outstanding with his control. And there have been times in the past 4 starts where things haven't gone exactly as planned, but during that time frame, he's walked just 1 batter.
Thompson coming home with the 2-1. It misses upstairs in the count 3-1. You mentioned it. He's a guy that really walks nearly nobody. In his most recent start, he did not walk a single batter in a start in which he went 7 innings.
And that's been the case 3 out of the last 4 starts.
Thompson looking home for the 3-1 sign. It's going to be hit over our heads in the press box. A full count ensuing. We know how important it is that that runner at third stays put and doesn't score. The Blue Crabs are 4-23 in games in which the opponent scores first, 11-8 in games in which the Blue Crabs score first. It is pivotal that man at third, Alexi Amarista, stays put. This pitch driven down the left field line, and Amarista will score. That's going to be an RBI extra base hit for Jason Rogers as he rolls into second base standing with an RBI double.
And, well, Andrew, I think you said everything you needed to say about why that runner at third was so important because of the records that the Blue Crabs have when they allow the first run. And it's a well-hit ball that time around. It's just a line drive down the left field line. No chance for McAdams, even though he gave a healthy dive at that ball. But the Bees strike first.
Taylor Motter struck first last night for the New Britain Bees. He hit a 3-run home run in the top of the first inning, and now he rolls up to the plate to face off against the MLB veteran, Daryl Thompson. Motter, an MLB veteran in his own right, played in the major leagues as recent as last year.
And Taylor Motter is an interesting case right now for a couple of reasons, but primarily that he's been very sporadic in terms of his hits. He had a major hit last night in his 3-run home run. I'll get to the other details in a moment.
Thompson gets a ground ball to the shortstop, Garcia. He transfers and crosses the infield for out number 3, but the Bees tack it on first. Austin, your point.
Yeah, so he has not had a hit in 6 of his last 8 games, but when he has, they have come up in big spots. A homer in one of those games and a 3-hit game in the other.
You want to stick around as Daryl Thompson is now 1 out away from making Atlantic League history. We'll be right back on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Corey Vaughn. Are you looking for fun on the weekend without breaking the bank? My Eye Doctor Backfin Buddies is for you. For just $15, your child will get in for free to every Friday Blue Crabs home game all season long. Plus, kids receive a Backfin Buddies t-shirt, go on the field for the national anthem, and parents will get a reduced ticket rate. What more could you ask for? Come watch me hit a home run every Friday for just $15.
This is Josh McAdams, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
We welcome you back inside Southern Maryland here on a beautiful June 12th evening as the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs take host to the New Britain Bees in Game 4 of a 4-game series. The Blue Crabs and the Bees have been neck and neck this year. They are 3-3 against each other, and Tony Thomas rolls up to the plate to face off against the Southpaw. Christian Friedrich is the MLB veteran, gets strike number 1 across. The neck-and-neck nature of these two teams has not just been the case this year as Tony Thomas ropes a ball right to the shortstop Alexi Amarista. A hard-hit line-out for out number 1.
Yeah, Tony Thomas getting a start back atop the order for the Blue Crabs as a spot Kent Blackstone has held for the last 2 weeks or so, but now Tony Thomas getting an opportunity after he came up big in yesterday's game and just an unlucky out that time around.
That brings up Ruby Silva, and we're going to see a pull shift against Silva, despite the fact that many of his hits come to the opposite field. He shows that on a opposite field foul ball for strike number 1. We talked about the neck-and-neck nature of these teams. 3-3 against each other all time between the New Britain Bees and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. They are 32-32 as Ruby Silva hits a ball high in the air into shallow left center field. Alexi Amarista ranges way back into left field territory to put away out number 2.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Amarista go that far back because there was an opportunity that, you know, it was going to be a little too far of a run for him, but he shows his range and versatility going out there into shallow left center.
As it appeared as though the left fielder Jarrett James might have lost his footing right away, and the speedy Amarista came up big. Here comes Joe Benson as the final Blue Crabs hope. He lines one off to the left side and foul. You don't want to turn the dial after this half inning, as when we come back, it will take 1 out for Daryl Thompson to move into 5th place in Atlantic League history in innings pitched. We are on the doorstep of a historical milestone for the hometown hero, Daryl Thompson. Benson lines one again down the left field line, but it is just barely foul as the count moves to no balls and 2 strikes. Thompson has played with the Blue Crabs in each of the last 8 seasons, including this year. This is first season as a pitching coach / player. One of the best pitchers in Atlantic League history, voted the GOAT in Blue Crabs history as Christian Friedrich misses upstairs. The count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Friedrich on the season, a 3-1 win-loss record with a 4.39 ERA. He's 6'4", 222 pounds out of Evanston, Illinois. Another pitch climbs the ladder, and we're even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. This is Friedrich's 11th season of professional baseball, first in the Atlantic League. His last start was at home against the Lancaster Barnstormers. He went 7 innings, allowing 2 runs, as Benson just stays alive by poking 1 foul. In that game, he threw 100 pitches. 2/3 of those pitches were strikes, with 67 of the pitches being strikes. He would strike out 5 in that game, allowing 8 hits. This pitch lined into the left center gap as Joe Benson has been phenomenal in games in which he leads off an inning. In leading off the inning. His first time up to the bat in a game, he has been terrific. 3 for 3 in those scenarios in the last 3 nights.
Yeah, Benson has been hitting the ball a lot better recently. Someone who struggled to start his time in Waldorf, Maryland with the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, but he's turned it around well at home.
That brings up Jose Julio Ruiz, the native of Cuba. Rolls up to the plate. It'll be a left-on-left matchup. He sees a pull shift. Tries to slap it the other way, but it goes foul, and the count 0 balls and a strike.
Now, one other note on Christian Freeman. Friedrich, I beg your pardon. He has had almost 2 different seasons. You see his ERA stands at 4.39, but that's not quite indicative of the way he's pitched recently.
This pitch misses upstairs, and the count of ball and a strike here with 2 down and 1 on.
Over his last 6 starts, his ERA is just 2.94, and he has not allowed more than 3 runs in any of those appearances.
1-1 pitch from Friedrich is a curveball that gets away from the catcher Logan Moore. That'll move the left fielder for the Blue Crabs, Joe Benson, into scoring position. 2 balls and a strike as Jose Julio Ruiz has a chance to even us up here. Benson with decent speed at second base. A well-struck ball in either alley should get Benson home.
That was a big move for Benson to get into scoring position with 2 outs. He was quick to recognize the pass ball.
Ruiz fooled on a curveball on the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. That's a really nice move by Joe Benson. You mentioned it. On a count in which you're anticipating a curveball, which wouldn't technically be a 2-1 count, nonetheless he expected it. He's going to anticipate a pitch in the dirt, I beg your pardon, a 1-1 count, as he sees the pitch in the dirt and goes right away. Leg lift in the pitch home, the 2-2 smack to the right side, and it's going to get under the glove of Taylor Motter. Joe Benson comes home, and an error will cost the New Britain Bees early.
Wow.
That's just something you don't see very often.
Well, we were just talking about how important it was that Benson advanced into scoring position. Well, Taylor Motter has a bad error over at second base, and all of a sudden this game is tied in the bottom of the first.
The New Britain Bees came into this series with the 7th best fielding percentage in the league out of 8 teams in the league. It's a .973 fielding percentage. Now comes up Corey Vaughn. Vaughn enters today's game with the most home runs in the Atlantic League since the beginning of the 2017 season. As Vaughn continues up to the plate, you see the graphic showing you Vaughn's incredible tenure in the Atlantic League. As Vaughn will come back up looking for the 0-1 pitch. Here comes Friedrich. Vaughn hits this one very high, but not as far, should stay in the infield. Jason Rogers coming under it. He starts moving and catches it as he moves off to his right. We've got a 1-1 ball game here in Southern Maryland. You don't want to turn that dial. When we come back, Daryl Thompson is 1 out away from making history in the Atlantic League. We'll be right back on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, this is Tommy Thorpe, left-handed pitcher for the Blue Crabs. Did you know that every Thursday night game at Regency Furniture Stadium will feature the brand new food special, Clyburn's Chow Hall? Just for $30, you can enjoy all-you-can-eat food in the Legends Club. Clyburn's Chow Hall will alternate between beer and wings presented by Foster Grill off Waldorf and tacos and margaritas presented by Mexico Restaurant.
This is Daryl Thompson, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Daryl Thompson back out on the mound, and he is 1 out away from becoming the individual with the 5th most innings pitched in Atlantic League history. Right now, he is sitting on 853 and 2/3 innings pitched. One more out will put him at 854, which will make him the individual with the 5th most innings pitched in league history. You can't say enough about him. He deserves it more than just about anybody. Here comes Thompson. First pitch he tosses will miss inside. It's going to go down as ball number 1. The man up to the plate, Jared James. This pitch misses well inside and the count 2 balls and no strikes. James has played in 2 of the 3 games to this point in the series. He's 3 for 6. Thompson misses high and outside and falls behind 3-0. We mentioned struggles with control are really not typical for Daryl Thompson.
They're not.
3-0 pitch right down the heart of the plate, and we've got a 3-1.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I thought that I was surprised to see him behind the count 3-0, especially to lead off an inning like this.
3-1 pitch, hit off to the right side, and it's worth mentioning that I don't know if Daryl knows that this is going to be in a place in which he makes Atlantic League history, as I know that manager Stan Clyburn is aware. Now, my guess is Daryl probably knows, but I just don't know if he does, to be completely honest with you. There is going to be a moment of recognition once this out is recorded. It could be right now. The 3-2 pitch slapped back into the screen, and we're at a full count.
It's a good moment for Daryl Thompson, someone who has been in this league for such a long time and has really made his presence known and now making his mark on those history books.
This pitch comes in and hits the batter, Jared James. And for the second inning in a row, a leadoff man is going to reach base, this time via the hit by pitch.
That ball didn't miss by much. It was going to be maybe 4 inches inside. And it just so happened that Jared James' elbow was there on the curveball. And James said, you know what, I'll wear it. He didn't give that much of an effort to get out of the way. It doesn't really matter one way or another because it would have been ball 4. But nonetheless, Jared James is on first base.
First pitch is hit high to the left side, and that pitch will escape us at Regency Furniture Stadium as that ball is far out of the park. Jonathan Galvez comes through with his 8th home run of the season and his 27th RBI. Here in the top of the second, the score now 3 for the New Britain Bees and 1 for the Blue Crabs, as Thompson is still 1 out away from climbing up into the leaderboards as 5th all-time in innings pitched in Southern Maryland, in the Atlantic League history.
Yeah, well, that ball was well hit, and you could see it right off the bat that Jonathan Galvez had destroyed that ball. It left Regency Furniture Stadium altogether, hitting the clubhouse roof beyond the mini monster.
Here comes Bijan Rademacher. He is 0 for 4 in the series. Played in both games of the doubleheader the other day as a nice bunt is laid down the third base line. That will be 3 consecutive Bees that have reached base in this inning to start us off, the latter of which have been a home run and a single.
Yeah, This has been a rough top of the second for Daryl Thompson. He got behind in the count early to lead off the inning, and then a walk, or ended up being hit by a pitch. And the first pitch to Galvez, a home run, and then just an unlucky move that time on a nice bunt from Logan Moore.
Thompson still on the brink of history in Southern Maryland as this pitch comes in and will miss on the outer half.
I said to Logan Moore that batter was Rademacher. Moore at the plate now.
As Moore has struggled offensively this year, as have both of the catchers for the New Britain Bees. Moore hitting 184 on the season. His counterpart, as a runner thinks about going on a pitch, but the pitch crosses as a strike. We're at 1-1. As Moore's counterpart, Tyler Clark, is hitting just 135 on the season.
Well, I want to bring something up that Mike Falsetti told us a couple of weeks ago, and it's about how much better a catcher has an idea of the zone than other hitters, and that they will be able to tell whether it's a ball or a strike better than your average guy.
Yeah, he was talking about that and saying that his on-base percentage reflects that. You talked about it earlier. He's really seeing the ball well.
He is, but I want to actually relate that back to what Logan Moore is doing at the plate right now. He has 19 hits on the season, which leads to his quite poor 184 batting average, but he has 17 walks, a statistic that stands out, that he has nearly as many walks as he has hits.
2 balls and 2 strikes the count, as Daryl Thompson 1 strike away from making Atlantic League history.
And as a result, Moore has an on-base percentage upwards of 300.
Number 30 digs back into the left-handed batter's box. 3-1 the score. The Bees on top of the Blue Crabs early. Thompson gets a weak hit fly ball to the right side, and he has made history. Daryl Thompson is now 5th all-time in the Atlantic League history, as we're going to turn it over to the PA. As Daryl Thompson, as you can see on the screen, has moved into 5th place in Atlantic League history in innings pitched with 854. One down in the inning, as Thompson has moved past that milestone. Now will chase for the next, as a win tonight would make him 5th all-time in Atlantic League history in wins with 48. And I think that just shows the nature of Daryl Thompson and the competitive spirit that lives within him. We talk about what a terrific individual, character-wise. He went to La Plata High School right down the road. He goes to their practices all the time to help out the kids. But Thompson got that recognition over the loudspeakers here and just stepped right back on the mound. He was ready immediately to throw his next pitch. This pitch driven into the left center alley, and that could be extra bases. Corey Vaughn rounds it well, but the ball goes under his glove, and that will bring a run home to score. Edwin Garcia gets the cutoff throw off a bounce, and the New Britain Bees have plated another run here in the top of the second.
Well, I like what Corey Vaughn tried to do there, and he tried to aggressively cut that ball off, which would have held Amarista to a single and would not have allowed the run to score at all. Probably would have runners on 1st and 3rd with 1 out, but that ball goes under his glove as a result of his aggressively trying to cut the ball off, and ultimately it allows the run to score.
And that will go down as an RBI double for Alexi Amarista. He's now 2 for 2 on the day as the Bees are up early. This is not a familiar circumstance for Daryl Thompson, as in his last 81 starts dating back to the start of 2015, he has thrown 61 quality starts, meaning that in 61 of his 81 starts dating back to that year, he has gone at least 6 innings and allowed 3 or less earned runs. What a terrific career. 1-0 the count to Ozzie Martinez. The 1-0 misses inside. As Martinez rolls up to the plate, he's 0 for 1 on the day. He grounded out to the third baseman, Josh McAdams, back in the first. 5 hits for the Bees have given them 4 runs. They have had 1 error. That led to a Blue Crabs run. The Blue Crabs have just 1 hit in this game. 2-0 pitch, high and tight in the count, 3 balls and no strikes. As Daryl Thompson, 1 out to go, made Atlantic League history, moving up into the 5th spot in Atlantic League history in innings pitched with 854. Pretty straight up defensive alignment behind the right-hander as the 3-0 pitch right down Broadway. We're at 3-1. Ozzie Martinez was taken by the Florida Marlins in the all the way back in the 2006 MLB June Amateur Draft. Made his MLB debut in 2010. This pitch driven well to the left side, and Joe Benson on the backtrack. That ball hits the top of the mini monster off of the Dairy Queen sign, and another run will come around to score on an RBI double from Ozzie Martinez. This is just not a familiar sight with Daryl Thompson on the mound.
It's not, and these balls are very well hit by these New Britain Bees batters, and it's not like they're getting lucky base hits. They have driven a couple of balls very, very well out to either deep left field or to right field. They're hitting the ball all over the ballpark, but they're on top of the ball right now. And they put together a 4-run second inning. Only once this season has Thompson allowed more than 5 runs. It was at High Point back on May the 18th.
As Valerio wants to come back and talk about signs with Daryl Thompson. Thompson lets him know they are, in fact, on the same page as Thompson wants to keep working quickly. That is his M.O. Alejandro De Aza rolls up to the plate. He's 0 for 1 on the day with a fly out to the left fielder, Joe Benson. De Aza takes strike 1 on the outside half. 5-1 the score with 4 New Britain Bees runs coming in this top of the second inning. Number 8, Alejandro De Aza, the left-hander, up to the plate. He played in 838 games in the major leagues as this ball is blooped over towards the left side and sneaking foul. Could have been a scary strike. Nonetheless, it is a foul ball. No balls, 2 strikes the count to Alejandro De Aza. He wipes some moisture off of his bat. In his 838 games in the MLB, 10 seasons played, had a .260 career average with 51 home runs, scored 367 runs in 838 games. Thompson will look back to second. Here comes the 0-2. This fastball is up and inside and hit well to the left side, sneaking into the seating bowl, and it will drop in as a souvenir for a lucky fan. No balls, 2 strikes, as the Bees have recorded 6 hits through an inning and a third of work for Daryl Thompson, leading to 5 runs. As Thompson leans over, looking for his sign from Charlie Valerio, he's got what he likes. The right-hander on his way, a curveball, nearly checked at by the batter De Aza. Nonetheless, it goes down as ball number 1. The defensive alignment for the Blue Crabs in left field is Joe Benson, Corey Vaughn in center, and Daryl Thompson on the mound, Tony Thomas in right. From left to right in the infield, it's Josh McAdams, Edwin Garcia, Ruby Silva, and Jose Julio Ruiz. Behind the dish is Charlie Valerio. Thompson on the hill. 1-2 count on its way. It's a curveball that nearly catches the strike zone but will miss outside. 2-2 the count. As this is just not a familiar sight with Daryl Thompson on the mound. He is not an individual that gets rattled. He's not rattled, an individual, I should say, that gets a lot of runs let off of him. You mentioned only one time this year more than 5 runs have crossed the plate with Thompson on the mound. This pitch hit over towards the right side. Shouldn't be a problem for Silva. He gloves it on a hop and gets it off to Jose Julio Ruiz for out number 2.
Another note, something we were talking about earlier, was that Daryl Thompson has good control, and he still hasn't walked a batter in this game. He's allowed 5 runs to score in an inning and 2/3, but still, again, not walking any batters. He's been able to fight through it, and the start before this where he had a lot of issues was against High Point. In that start, he only allowed 1 walk in 5 innings of work, so we'll have to see where Daryl Thompson goes from here if he can recover after a tough second.
He's going to need some run support, and Jason Rogers, the 8th New Britain B to come up to the plate in the inning, fouls the first pitch he sees off to the right side.
And it's going to be awfully difficult to get that run support given how good Friedrich has been recently. Again, not having allowed more than 3 runs in any of his last 6 starts.
As Christian Friedrich has pitched very well of late. You're exactly right. He's been phenomenal. Interestingly, this has been my perception of late, that it seems as though when you look at the Felipe Paulinos of the world, and even earlier in this series against the New Britain Bees, it seems as though the Blue Crabs are able to excel against pitchers that have phenomenal ERAs. Some nights they just have it. They have scored a run in this game. It came on an error in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that this Blue Crabs team has found ways to hit pitchers who traditionally have good numbers. But one way or another, sometimes you're just going to run into a pitcher who will not be stopped.
Thompson is usually that pitcher. Has struggled to this point in his outing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes the pitch. It crosses for strike number 3, and Daryl works out of a rough top of the second inning of play. 4 New Britain B runs come around to score. 1 more than 4 is 5, which is where Daryl Thompson now finds himself in Atlantic League history in innings pitched. Did it earlier in this inning. Tip of the cap to one of the most solid individuals on and off the field that you're ever going to meet. The Blue Crabs have some work to do when they come back in their half of the second. We'll be right back on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Mike Falsetti, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside Southern Maryland. We take you into the bottom of the second inning of baseball. As the Blue Crabs have some work to do, they see themselves trailing by 4 runs here in the bottom of the second inning. A lot of baseball left to play as Christian Friedrich comes back on the mound, having allowed 1 run in the bottom of the first. It did come on a B's error. Charlie Valerio takes the first pitch he sees for strike number 1. It was a rough top of the second for Daryl Thompson despite making history as Charlie Valerio swings through an elevated fastball. Despite making history, Thompson allowed 4 B runs to cross in the top of the second. This pitch low and away and swung through and missed by Charlie Valerio. 1 down in the inning.
That's an outstanding breaking ball from Christian Friedrich. Going down in the zone, and Valerio swings right over it. Valerio is someone who's very good as a right-handed hitter, but has trouble with Friedrich striking out on 3 pitches.
1 down brings up John Griffin, my walkman of the game. The designated hitter wears number 13 and is 4 for 7 in this series. Takes a half-hearted swing, but sends it a mile foul, and the count 0 balls and a strike.
Griffin, somebody who also hits in spurts, was 3 for 3 back in game 1 of the doubleheader and also earned a hit yesterday.
Here comes Friedrich with the 0-1. It'll miss high and tight, and we're even at a ball and a strike. 5-1 the score as the New Britain Bees are on top of the Blue Crabs in the early going. These teams have been just about as even as you could possibly imagine throughout their franchise's histories against each other as Griffin swings through a curveball. They are 32-32 all-time against each other. When you look at just this season, they are 3-3 against each other. The Bees became a franchise back in 2016. 1-2 pitch is called for strike number 3 by Nate Caldwell on the outside corner, and the Blue Crabs go down with back-to-back strikeouts to start off the second inning.
Another really, really good pitch from Friedrich, just painting the outside corner. And John Griffin had no argument in him, but he didn't think about swinging at that pitch either because it's just such a good pitch on the outside corner. He didn't think he could hit it, let it go. He knew it was strike 3.
Edwin Garcia is 6 for 16 in this homestand and takes the first pitch he sees inside and a little bit high. The shortstop, number 9, Edwin Garcia, is a staple in the Blue Crabs lineup and has been for the last 3 years. In his red pinstripe jersey, here comes Friedrich, and Garcia is going to hit it the other way. Taylor Motter gobbles it on a couple of hops and sends it across the infield. Motter has been good and efficient at the same time to this point in his outing. We're through 2 innings of baseball, and the Blue Crabs find themselves trailing by a score of 5-1. We'll be right back on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Tony Thomas, outfielder of Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. We all remember the day we fell in love with baseball. For me, it was when I watched the Field of Dreams. This is why I'm excited for June 21st, because on June 21st, the Blue Crabs are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Field of Dreams. And we have a special appearance from Dwyer Brown. You may know him as John Kinsella from the movie. You don't want to miss Field of Dreams night at the ballpark on June 21st.
This is Kent Blackstone, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
We take you into the top of the 3rd inning of baseball here in Southern Maryland as the Blue Crabs are chasing 4 runs. First, they've got to keep the Bees' bats where they are. In each of their half innings offensively to this point in the game, they have at least plated 1 run. They scored 1 in the top of the first, 4 in the top of the second, as Daryl Thompson, still chasing history. He's already achieved 1 milestone tonight, moving up to 5th place in Atlantic League history in innings pitched with 854 at the time. He could still get a win tonight, which would mark him with the 5th most wins in Atlantic League history. Number 20, the La Plata native, steps back up on the mound. Here to start off this top of the 3rd inning, facing off against the 5-hole hitter, Taylor Motter. First pitch to Motter crosses for strike number 1. Motter played for 3 different teams in 3 seasons in the MLB between 2016, 2017, and 2018. As this pitch misses outside, 2-1 the count for Motter. He started the 2016 MLB season with the Tampa Bay Rays. Thompson gives a fastball that is swung on and missed by Motter, a 2-2 count. Motter would then play the full 2017 season with the Seattle Mariners and part of the 2018 season before transitioning to the Minnesota Twins at the MLB level to finish out the 2018 year. As this pitch well struck to the left side, but it'll hang up a little bit. Joe Benson strolls and gets under it, catches it with one hand for out number 1. And that's a good job by Thompson to rebound. He's allowed 5 runs, all of them earned through 2 innings of work, and he has seen himself let up a leadoff runner in each of his first 2 innings. Both of those leadoff runners came around to score. They do represent 2 of the 5 runs that the Bees have gotten today. They have 6 hits, 1 error. That led to the lone Blue Crabs run in this game, which came in the bottom of the first. Jared James thinks about swinging. Doesn't matter anyways, as it's called strike number 1. Thank you for tuning into the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network as always. Thompson comes home with a curveball. It'll miss inside in the count of ball and a strike.
Jared James, someone who's a very consistent hitter at the plate. He's got hits in 6 of his last 7 games.
He was hit by a pitch in his first plate appearance. Thompson gets James to climb the ladder and offer at a elevated fastball. 1-2 the count.
And that hit by pitch was, for all intents and purposes, a walk because it was the 4th ball pitched. Just so happened to hit Motter. I beg your pardon, Jones.
A ball deep into the right side of the infield. Jose Julio Ruiz grabs it as it almost hits the runner. Doesn't matter, it is out number 2, and Thompson has done a phenomenal job rebounding.
Yeah, he has. Back-to-back outs to start the top of the 3rd inning. After allowing 4 runs in the top of the 2nd, and all those runs came with 1 out or fewer in the top of the 2nd, so now 4 consecutive, retired.
And that was a terrific job of communication between Jose Julio Ruiz and Ruby Silva. That could have been either of their balls. It was the right move to go to Silva, but between 2 individuals who haven't played much together on the infield side of things, it's terrific communication. Daryl Thompson comes and goes right back to his normal self. He goes 3 up, 3 down in the top of the 3rd. The Blue Crabs have some work to do when we return on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Craig Stem, right-handed pitcher for the Blue Crabs. Here at Regency Furniture Stadium, we've dedicated every Friday home game to remember everybody deployed. On Red Fridays, presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, the Blue Crabs will wear red uniforms to honor those who have served. Plus, tickets are just $5 when you show your military ID. Come help us celebrate those who have served our country at Regency Furniture Stadium every Friday night.
This is Ryan Chafee, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome into the bottom of the 3rd inning of baseball here in Southern Maryland. The Blue Crabs chasing 4 runs, but a lot of baseball left to be played. The comeback efforts start right now here in the bottom of the 3rd as the Blue Crabs send up Josh McAdams to lead off their bottom of the 3rd. McAdams has been terrific against the New Britain Bees this year. He is 4 for 5 against New Britain this season, including a 3 for 4 game. Josh McAdams has 6 hits this season, 4 of them coming against the Bees. He rips this one to the right side back, and going way back is Bijan Rademacher. He'll get all the way to the warning track before catching it, as that ball was well struck and pounced on the first pitch by Josh McAdams, but it goes down as out number 1. That flips the Blue Crabs lineup back to the top as Tony Thomas comes up to the plate. Thomas lined out hard to the shortstop Alexi Amarista in his first time up. As Christian Friedrich has thrown just 27 pitches through 2 1/3 innings of work. He has thrown only 6 balls out of the strike zone. Thomas sees the first pitch cross as a called strike number 1. 0-1 the count.
Friedrich has been very dominant up until this point in the ball game.
As Thomas swings through a curveball, the count 0-2.
He's allowed just a single hit, has not walked a batter, and the only run that came around to score was unearned on the error by Taylor Motter over at second base.
No balls, 2 strikes the count, as the Blue Crabs are going to need to do a little bit more than rely on the error if they want to get into this, back into this ball game. Could secure a series win tonight, as this pitch crosses on the outside corner for strike number 3. The Blue Crabs down to their final out here in the first third of the ball game as Ruby Silva comes up to the plate. He'll bat at the left-handed batter's box.
Yeah, Friedrich used the strikeout to his advantage back in the bottom of the second, and then striking out Tony Thomas here in the bottom of the third.
Lefty on lefty matchup. Here comes Friedrich. Silva immediately swings at a curveball. He was off balance in the count, no balls and a strike. Silva has been awfully good in this homestand. And he'll look to continue it here, but he lofts the ball into left center field. It's shallow. In comes the left fielder, Jared James. His hat flies off his head, but he puts it in the back of his glove, two-handed for out number 3. We are through a third of a ball game. We hand it off to Austin Rooney when we return on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
We welcome you back inside Regency Furniture Stadium in the top half of the fourth inning. Austin Rooney alongside Andrew Banstra as Bijan Rademacher comes to the plate in the top half of the fourth inning for the New Britain Bees. It's 8-9-1 in the Bees order. First pitch to Rademacher misses upstairs and outside for ball one. Rademacher snapped a 3-game hitless streak back in the top half of the second inning, as the 1-0 pitch is in there for a called strike one. And the 1-1 offering is a breaking ball swung on and missed. Now, Rademacher's hit back in the second was a bunt single down the third base line that followed Jonathan Galvez's home run. And sometimes when you're not hitting the ball all that well, he'll do whatever it takes to get a hit. And for him, it was Josh McAdams playing a little too deep on the third base side. And the 1-2 pitch is swung on in line into right field for a base hit. All of a sudden, Rademacher with back-to-back hits to start this ball game. And Logan Moore, the catcher in this contest, who is 0 for 1. He flied out to right field his first time up. And the first pitch misses low for ball 1.
Yeah, and you mentioned the success that Logan Moore has had in the on-base percentage category. You mentioned the fact that he has nearly as many walks as he does hits on the season.
The 1-0 offering is a fastball right down the middle, and the count a ball and a strike. Daryl Thompson's pitch count now sits at 66 pitches. If you're working on an 100 pitch count barometer, you had to think he may only be able to go 5 today, as the 1-1 pitch is swung on and missed, and the count 1-2. So far this season, Thompson has gone at least 5 innings in every start. 5 innings was the fewest number of innings he pitched. That was against High Point. In the start, he allowed 8 runs and 12 hits. Here's the 1-2 pitch. It's cut on a high pop-up into shallow left field. Benson comes in and calls off Garcia to make the catch.
And once again, good communication by the Blue Crabs. We've got a couple moving parts in the Blue Crabs' defensive strategy. Benson has just started playing as he was signed a little over a week ago. Ruiz has not played all season long as he was signed about at the midway point of what we've seen to this point. And Silva's only played a couple of times at second base. McAdams getting only a handful of starts in the field this year. So a lot of moving parts. Thomas moving over to right field.
And the first pitch swinging from Amarista, and he lines that ball foul down the first base line. Well, Alexi Amarista came into this ball game with 3 hits in his last 26 at-bats. Well, he's 2 for 2 to start today's game. Talk about turning it around. Here's the 0-1. It's a breaking ball at the knees for strike 2.
And Thompson has thrown at least 100 pitches in each of his last 3 starts. Over 2/3 strikes in each of those 3 starts.
Rademacher leads off first base with 1 out. Here's the 0-2 pitch. It misses upstairs, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. A 4-run lead for the New Britain Bees, with 1 away in the top half of the 4th inning.
It's really just been these past 5, now 6 starts that Daryl Thompson has struggled in, as he was terrific for his first 4 starts of the season.
The 1-2 is a fastball that runs inside, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. You make a good point that Thompson was very consistent to start the season. After 4 starts, his ERA sat at 1.98. But since then, it has risen all the way to 4.69, where it stands now. Runner going, but Amarista chops that ball fair. No, I beg your pardon, foul down the first base line. The count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. My view was a little bit impaired over here on the right side, and for a moment I thought that Ruiz had caught the ball over there at first.
In Daryl's last 5 starts before today, he had a 5.94 ERA in those starts alone, having allowed 22 earned runs in 33 1/3 innings. Additionally, he allowed 46 hits in those 33 innings.
Here's the 2-2. Swung on, a ground ball over to second. Ruiz fields on a short for 1. That's the only out the Blue Crabs will get as Amarista reaches safely on a fielder's choice. So runner on first base with 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning. Nicely done by Silva to turn and get the lead out.
Yeah, and he's a guy that doesn't play much second base. That makes it all the more impressive. When you look back at this season as a whole, Ruby Silva has only started 2 games at second base. Now, throughout the course of his career, of course, he started a relative amount at second base. But pretty impressive the stuff he's able to do in the field, not being an everyday infielder.
Runner on first, 2 outs. Here's the first pitch to Ozzy Martinez. It's a breaking ball, and it misses high for ball 1.
Martinez had that big RBI double back in the 2nd inning.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's a fastball, cut on and missed from Martinez, and the count, a ball and a strike. We've seen Daryl Thompson have a couple of curveballs he's left up, Andrew. Have you seen that to be an issue at all so far tonight?
I think that I've seen 1 or 2, but yeah, I think that with a guy that has that big looping curveball, that will be a problem. If you don't snap it off correctly, it's just going to float over the zone, and that could be a really big issue.
As Thompson throws over to first base to check on Amarista, who dives back in safely.
And to that point, in Daryl Thompson's past 2 starts, really his biggest flaw has been the fact that he's left just 2 or 3 pitches over the zone, and all of these pitches have really come to hurt him, as all 3 of them have been the 3 home runs he's allowed in 2 of his last 3 starts.
The 1-1 pitch is a fastball, low and outside, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike on Ozzy Martinez. Runner on first base and 2 outs.
I beg your pardon, he's allowed just 2 home runs through his last 2 starts. 1 of them today, 1 of them in his most recent start at home.
The 1-1 offering, fastball on the outer edge. The count now even at 2-2. The previous pitch was the 2-1 offering, not the 1-1. So, just to reiterate, 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs in the top of the 4th. A 5-1 Bees lead and a runner on first base. Thompson comes set. The pitch, runner goes. Cut on a high pop-up over to the first base side. Ruiz moving over towards the Bees dugout, and he makes the catch.
And an ear-to-ear smile on Daryl Thompson's face. He loves it.
We're done with 3.5 from Regency Furniture Stadium. It's a 5-1 Bees advantage. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Craig Stem, right-handed pitcher for the Blue Crabs. Here at Regency Furniture Stadium, we've dedicated every Friday home game to remember everybody deployed. On Red Fridays, presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, the Blue Crabs will wear red uniforms to honor those who have served. Plus, tickets are just $5 when you show your military ID. Come help us celebrate those who have served our country at Regency Furniture Stadium every Friday night.
This is Tommy Thorpe, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Bottom half of the 4th inning from Regency Furniture Stadium. It's a 5-1 New Britain advantage. As the 3, 4, and 5 hitters in the Blue Crabs orders come up, it's Benson who will lead things off in the first pitch, swinging in a high fly ball to deep center field. De Aza back, going towards the warning track as he makes the catch for the first out.
And what a read on that fly ball that was by Alejandro De Aza. That was smoked by Joe Benson. He got every piece of that ball. De Aza was with it step for step and made it look easy.
It was a very well-struck ball from Joe Benson, and that sort of just proves the fact that he's hitting the ball better right now. It just so happened that Alejandro De Aza read it well and jumped on his horse to make that catch. First pitch to Jose Julio Ruiz is a fastball on the outer edge for strike one. And after Friedrich retired Benson, he has not allowed a hit since the first inning. That's 9 consecutive hitters.
He has been phenomenal to this point in the game. Very economical with his pitch count. Very good on the mound.
Count, no balls and 2 strikes on Jose Julio Ruiz. And the 0-2 pitch is a one-hopper over to second. Taylor Motter's got it. On the shallow right field grass, he'll flip over to first, and there are 2 outs.
And this is just not what you want to be doing if you're the Blue Crabs right now. Friedrich is on a roll, and the Blue Crabs are swinging at a lot of pitches early in the count. They're really not making Friedrich work for this right now.
Yeah, they're swinging early, but Friedrich isn't throwing all that many balls. It's possibly the reason is that the Blue Crabs are swinging so much, but the strikes to ball ratio, he's thrown 30 strikes, just 6 balls on 36 pitches. As the first pitch misses low for ball 1, but to go 3 2/3 innings of work and throw 36 pitches, I mean, he's well on his way to a very long outing. That pitch is cut on and missed from Corey Vaughn. Count, a ball and a strike on the right-handed hitter who leads this Blue Crabs team in home runs this season as well with 9, as the 1-1 is cut on and fouled back to the backstop. He leads the team in home runs over the past 3 seasons with 40 and ranks top 5 in the league this season with 9. Here's the 1-2 pitch, cut on a line drive right back up the middle for a base hit. A solid piece of hitting from Corey Vaughn. And there's a runner on first base with 2 outs. That's the first hit that Friedrich has surrendered since back in the bottom half of the first inning when Joe Benson lined a double to left center.
And with that hit, Corey Vaughn's OPS has crept over 900. It sits at 905 right now. That is by far and away the best on the team.
And here is Charlie Valerio, who has been very good recently and has hit even better from the right side of the plate. As the first pitch is cut on and grounded foul over towards the third base side between the dugout and the bullpen.
Valerio is hitting .410 from the right side of the plate coming into this game with a 1.080 OPS.
Here's the 0-1. That's a breaking ball that runs in, and the count, a ball and a strike.
Was talking to Valerio the other day about his success against left-handed pitching, and he was telling me that over the course of his career, he's actually had much more success against right-handed pitching. This year, he's taking a much more patient approach to left-handed pitching.
And the 1-1 pitch is clobbered towards the left side, but it's foul and was right at that Blue Crabs bullpen. A couple guys ducking out of the way.
Which shows you how hard the ball was hit.
Because normally, players in the bullpen are not supposed to move out of the way of a line drive, but that ball was likely headed towards a pitcher's head, and he said, well, I'm going to get out of the way here. Here's the 1-2. Breaking ball just a little low, and the count even at 2-2.
7 hits in the game for the Bees, just 2 for the Blue Crabs. The issue was not getting hits last night for Southern Maryland. It was getting the runs to score. Both categories are a struggle this evening.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Oh, fastball on the outer edge. Valerio can't believe it. You can't argue balls and strikes. He's having quite a few words with the home plate umpire, but he remains in this game for now. As we are finished with 4 innings of play from Regency Furniture Stadium, It's a 5-1 Bees lead. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Are you looking for fun on the weekend without breaking the bank? My Eye Doctor Backfin Buddies is for you. For just $15, your child will get in for free to every Friday Blue Crabs home game all season long. Plus, kids receive a Backfin Buddies t-shirt, go on the field for the national anthem, and parents will get a reduced ticket rate. What more could you ask for? Come watch me hit a home run every Friday for just $15.
This is John Hayes, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Top half of the fifth inning, and Daryl Thompson has recovered very nicely after a tough first and second innings. He allowed one run back in the top of the first, proceeded to allow four more in the second, as the Bees jumped on a 5-1 lead, but he's been pretty good ever since. Did not allow a run in the third or in the fourth, and has kept his pitch count down to an extent, that is. He's still thrown 79 pitches through 4 innings of work. Not quite matched Friedrich's numbers, as he's thrown 45 pitches through 4 innings. And the first pitch misses inside to Alejandro De Aza, who is the 3-hitter in the New Britain Bees order. De Aza, Rogers, and Motter due up for the Bees in the top of the fifth. The 1-0 pitch to De Aza is cut on and driven high and 4 towards right field, but it tails foul and out of play, and the count a ball and 2 strikes.
Thompson is a man that is about his business. When he gets on the mound, he is ready to throw it the second he toes the rubber.
De Aza in the midst of an 11-game hit streak, but he's 0 for 2 today, as the pitch is cut on and fouled off down the third base side, now to play.
Daryl made history earlier tonight, becoming the man with the 5th most innings pitched in Atlantic League history. To further prove his get-to-it nature, he got right on the mound, even though we were recognizing him in Southern Maryland, showing his competitive spirit.
And the 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed. A foul tip into the mid of Valerio, and there's one away, and De Aza still searching for his first hit, as the 4-hitter, Jason Rogers, kicks around some dirt from the right side. Rogers 1 for 2 today. He drove in a run, as the first pitch is a fastball on the outer edge, and the count 0-1. Rogers drove in the lone run back in the first inning, as the 0-1 pitch misses low and outside, and the count a ball and a strike on a double to left field. That scored Amarista. That was the ball that went under the glove of Corey Vaughn. Count a ball and a strike on Jason Rogers. And the 1-1 pitch is cut on, a ground ball up the middle past the glove of Garcia for a base hit, and there's a runner on first with 1 out.
And that's just a good piece of hitting. You got to tip your cap there. It was more or less a ground ball. It was just kind of a short line drive, if we really want to be specific. It's a ball that's just well placed and well struck. You can't ask for a lot more out of Daryl Thompson. It has a downward slope on it. It's just too much and gets out of the range of the terrific fielding Edwin Garcia.
Here's Taylor Motter. Taylor Motter, I mentioned it earlier, someone who hits in spurts. He had a 3-run home run yesterday, but in 6 of his last 8 contests, he has not registered a single hit. That remains true so far today. As the first pitch missed, it was called a strike actually. It looked like a strike. Did not see the initial call, though, from the home plate umpire, Nate Caldwell. And that pitch looked awfully good, but appeared to miss upstairs. Count now 2 balls and no strike. The count on the scoreboard said 0-1, but now says 1-0, and after that pitch, it's now 2-0. 2 pitches that looked quite good, neither of which was called a strike. This pitch is cut on and grounded over to second. Silva on to short for 1, back on to first, the double play. 4-6-3 to end the inning. And at the end of 4.5, it is a 5-1 New Britain lead. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
So, what do you like about your home?
Practice like hockey. I practice stick handling and sometimes shooting. Mommy. Go outside sometimes. I like playing lacrosse. Playing the switch. I like the scribble. Daddy. I like to build Legos at home. I have the biggest closet. Riding my dirt bike.
We help you home. At Hometown Real Estate, we want to help you and your family home, whatever that takes and whatever that means to you. Give us a call at 888-225-2736 or online at helpyouhomebluecrabs.com.
Charlie Valerio, and you are listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Bottom half of the 5th inning from Regency Furniture Stadium, and John Griffin will come to the plate for the Blue Crabs. 7, 8, and 9 due up in the Blue Crabs order. And the first pitch, the power-hitting right-handed hitter, is in there for a strike. John Griffin has 4 home runs in the season, and the 0-1 is a breaking ball caught on and missed. But he's been cold with the power recently. Has not hit a home run since May the 24th. Here's the 0-2, cut on a hard hit ball towards the Blue Crabs bullpen, and the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. And while he may not have hit any home runs in the last few weeks, he did have a 3-hit game against Somerset back on June the 5th, and another 3-hit game back in the first game of that doubleheader. Here's the 0-2 to John Griffin. That's a breaking ball just low. The count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 to John Griffin. That's a breaking ball cut on and missed. And Friedrich registers his 5th strikeout of the game.
Yeah, he's had that strikeout pitching going tonight. There is no question about it. When he's painting that 2-seam on the outer corner, it looks like it's going to be right there and tails away at the last second. A very hard pitch to hit, and you're going to see a lot of left-handers throw that pitch. Not necessarily left-handers with the velocity that Friedrich has, so it's a double whammy.
First pitch runs low and inside on Edwin Garcia. Now, Christian Friedrich played with the Colorado Rockies from 2012 through 2015. We get to an interesting note on the start of his career momentarily as the 1-1-1-0 pitch is cut on and drilled into left center field. It's going to drop for extra bases. Edwin Garcia rounds first. He heads into second with a one-out double. Garcia thinks about going to third base as Alexi Amarista had trouble with the ball out in shallow left field. But Edwin Garcia opts to stay at second, a runner on second base with one out, as Josh McAdams digs in from the right side. Back to the note on Christian Friedrich. He was the first player in Rockies history to pitch 5+ innings of work and allow 1 run or fewer in each of his first 2 starts. His MLB career got off to a strong one, and he pitched a complete season in 2016, although that was in relief, as the first pitch is in there for strike 1 on the 9-hitter McAdams. Here's the 0-1 offering, and McAdams an off-balance pitch swing in the count. No balls and 2 strikes on the right-handed hitter. McAdams digs back in. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball in the dirt. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes.
McAdams came into this game hitting much better at home than on the road. Coming into today's contest, he was hitting .278 at Regency Furniture Stadium while hitting .077 on the road. Now keep in mind, this is a guy that hasn't played in many games this year, so a smaller sample size, but relevant nonetheless.
Runner on second, 1 out. A 5-1 Bees lead. Here's the 1-2. It is cut on and missed by McAdams. He goes down by the way of the K. And there are 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Make that strikeout number 6 for Christian Friedrich.
And if you're the Blue Crabs right now, you need to execute in this situation. You have a guy in scoring position. You're down 4 with not too much left to play. You're a little bit just barely over halfway through this game offensively. It's been a quick one offensively for the Blue Crabs. Extend this thing out. Start chipping away right now.
Here's Tony Thomas, the leadoff hitter for the Blue Crabs, who swings and taps that first pitched foul down the third base line as it rolls slowly to the Blue Crabs bullpen.
Had 2 of his 4 hits in this homestand in last night's game, in which he went 2 for 4. Thomas has got to be awfully happy that his alum Florida State Seminoles are headed to the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. Thomas, a member of the Seminole Hall of Fame, was inducted in 2017.
0-1 delivery is swung on and roped foul down the first base side. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes on the right-handed hitter. As the Blue Crabs try to get one back in the bottom of the 5th with the runner in scoring position with 2 outs. Here's the 0-2 pitch, swung on and missed. And Friedrich strikes out the side once again. He's been phenomenal. Strikeout number 7 for the right-handed pitcher. We're done with 5 at Regency Furniture Stadium. It's a commanding 5-1 lead for the New Britain Bees.
Pitcher for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Sunday afternoons are the time to be at Blue Crabs games. Every Sunday home game is Kids Day at Regency Furniture Stadium. With the ticket, you will get access to a free pre-game autograph session, kids get free admission to Pinch's Playground, and kids run the bases for free after the game. Come join us for Kids Day every Sunday Blue Crabs home game.
is Andrew Johnston, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside Regency Furniture Stadium for the top half of the 6th inning. And Daryl Thompson, who has thrown 89 pitches, is back out there to start the inning. He's allowed 5 earned runs this afternoon, but has not allowed a single run since the 2nd inning, and he has rebounded quite nicely, Andrew. Well, the base paths are empty in the top half of the 6th inning with a 5-1 Bees advantage. Here's Jared James, the first pitch, fastball, cut on and grounded foul down the first base side, and the count 0-1. The 0-1 offering to James, a very nice breaking ball from Daryl Thompson, and the count 0-2.
Thompson struggled early, as we've talked about. He allowed 5 runs in 2 innings, but boy, has he settled down since. 3 straight innings of scoreless work.
Here's the 0-2. That's a fastball up and out of the zone, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes on Jared James. The 1-2 pitch is swung on and fouled off down the third base side, up and over the netting and over the press box. Count a ball and 2 strikes on Jared James.
Thompson has faced just 1 over the minimum in his last 3 innings pitched, having faced 10 batters.
The 1-2 is swung on and twisted foul down the third base line. Over towards the concourse area here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Thompson set the 1-2 pitch, breaking ball low, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Thompson has not issued a walk today, but when he hit Jared Jones, it was, for all intents and purposes, a walk, as it was the 4th ball of the at-bat, but hit his elbow. As the 2-2 pitch, breaking ball swung on and missed, Jared James goes down swinging. And there is 1 out in the top of the 6th.
Yeah, Thompson really rebounded well as he's working through that. Just his 3rd strikeout of the night. But after those first couple of innings, you didn't know how long he was going to go. He is sitting on a total of 97 pitches right now.
As he starts to work into the latter parts of his evening. And Jonathan Galvez stands in from the right side and takes a look at strike 1. And the count, no balls and 1 strike on the right-handed hitter. Galvez hit the 2-run home run back in the top of the 2nd, and the 0-1 misses in, and the count, a ball and a strike.
And for an individual in his 17th season of professional baseball, the ability to go 100 pitches deep in nearly every outing is absolutely mind-blowing.
As the 1-1 is a breaking ball that runs up and in. It absolutely is. Now a note on Jonathan Galvez. He seems to be returning to form. He was outstanding in the series against Lancaster. Was 7 for 12 as the 2-1 misses upstairs, count 3 balls and a strike. He was just 1 for 10 against Southern Maryland in this series before he hit that 2-run bomb, which gave the Bees a 3-1 lead at the time. They scored 2 more in the inning as the 3-1 is chopped over to third base. McAdams has it. He'll throw across the diamond, but it sails well above the head of Ruiz. Galvez will not advance to second, though, as it stayed in play and hit the wall behind first base. So an errant throw by McAdams, but it does not cost the Blue Crabs, as Galvez would likely have been safe at first base anyways. Runner on first with 1 out in the top of the 6th. The Bees lead the Blue Crabs by 4, 5-1. And it's behind an outstanding pitching performance from the New Britain starter, Christian Friedrich.
And That will go down as a single for Jonathan Galvez. He's now 2 for 3 on the game.
Yeah, it looked like he would have beaten out the throw from McAdams one way or another, but the throw was well high. As the first pitch, fastball, outer edge for strike one on Bijan Rademacher. And Rademacher, who had no hits in his previous 2 games, is 2 for 2 this evening. He squares around a bunt. And he tried to bunt up the line there. Looks like he went around in the count. No, doesn't. He appeared to not have gone around as a count of ball and a strike. He tried to almost do a drag bunt there and then run about 5 or 10 feet up the first baseline before he missed his bunt. But he held up supposedly in the count of ball and a strike. Here's the 1-1. Breaking ball cut on and missed in the count 1-2 on Bijan Rademacher with a runner on first base and 1 out.
Thompson is one of 2 players ever to be ever from La Plata High School to end up playing in the MLB. The other has a pretty cool name, Austin. His name was Don Money.
Hey, it's not too bad.
I'd take that name.
The 1-2 offering is swung on and hit high in the air down the third base side. McAdams drifts into foul territory and makes the catch for the second out.
Money played 16 seasons in the MLB.
Wow, an extensive MLB career. What was the time frame?
From 1968 to 1983, he was an all-star in 4 seasons in 74, 76, 77, and 78. He led the MLB in plate appearances and at-bats in 1974, a season in which he hit .283. His career best in batting average was .293. That was his final all-star season in 78.
And the first pitch to Logan Moore is a breaking ball, cut on and missed. Moore was way ahead of the pitch. And the count, no balls and 1 strike in the top of the 6th inning. 5-1 Bees with 2 outs and a runner on first base. Thompson comes set, and the pitch misses low, and the count, a ball and a strike on Logan Moore.
And of course, Moore was the individual that recorded the out that put Daryl Thompson 5th all-time in innings pitched in Atlantic League history.
And that was during a tough second inning of work for Daryl Thompson. As the 1-1 pitch, a one-hopper to second base. Silva's got it. He'll toss to first, and that'll do it. Another strong inning of work from Daryl Thompson after 5.5 innings of play. The Bees lead this game 5-1. We're headed to the bottom of the 6th. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Ryan Chafee, right-handed pitcher for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Sunday afternoons are the time to be at Blue Crabs games. Every Sunday home game is Kids Day at Regency Furniture Stadium. With the ticket, you will get access to a free pre-game autograph session, kids get free admission to Pinch's Playground, and kids run the bases for free after the game. Come join us for Kids Day every Sunday Blue Crabs home game. This is Ryan Chafee, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Runner on. Beg your pardon. We're set for the top of the 6th inning. And it's Ruby Silva who comes to the plate for the Blue Crabs. 2, 3, and 4 due up for Southern Maryland. Silva, followed by Benson and Ruiz. And the first pitch swung on a slow ground ball over to second base. It is nicely fielded by Taylor Motter, who throws Silva out at first base. Base paths are empty with one out in the bottom half of the sixth inning, and it's time for Joe Benson. Benson has been hitting the ball very hard recently.
Saying goes, hit them where they ain't. He'll find some holes. He's striking the ball very well.
First pitch to Benson runs low and in, but it's called a strike nonetheless by the home plate umpire, Nate Caldwell. Your umpiring crew tonight, behind home plate, Nate Caldwell. Over at first is Derek Moshe. And at third base, James Clayton. The 0-1 bounces about 2 feet before home plate, and the count a ball and a strike on Joe Benson.
Benson does have a hit in this game, one of 3 Blue Crabs hits in the contest. He also scored the lone run of the game. That was the case last night up until the bottom of the ninth when Corey Vaughn hit a home run.
The 0-1 to Benson. Fastball, that looked close, but called the ball by home plate umpire Caldwell. Must have missed just a bit outside. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike on Joe Benson. Base path's empty with 1 away. And the 2-1 misses upstairs. The count 3 balls and 1 strike on Joe Benson, who has had 1 hit for the Blue Crabs, one of the 3 hits that the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs have had this evening. And the 3-1 is cut on and hit high in the air to left field. The left fielder, James, drifted back, now forward, and makes the catch for the second out.
Another well-struck piece of hitting from Joe Benson, just a little bit under that baseball.
And Jose Julio Ruiz, the cleanup hitter for Southern Maryland, who was 0 for 2 tonight. He's seen his average fall at .205 on the season. And the first pitch to Jose Julio Ruiz is cut on and fouled back to the screen behind home plate, and the count 0-1. Now in Ruiz's last 11 at-bats, he has just the 1 hit. The 0-1 delivery. Fastball on the inside edge, and the count 0-2 on Jose Julio Ruiz.
And what else can you say other than Friedrich has been phenomenal tonight?
5 2/3 innings of work for Friedrich. Allowed 1 unearned run. Well, that 0-1 is drilled to right center field, and it's out of the reach of De Aza. Ruiz chugging for extra bases. He's going to hold up at second. And there is a runner on second base with 2 outs for Jose Julio Ruiz.
Ruiz is an individual that tends to take a pitch and go with it where it's hit. That pitch on the inner half, he takes it on the hands, sends it deep into the right center alley. And if it's too deep for that speedy center fielder Alejandro De Aza to get to, you know it's a well-struck ball.
The Blue Crabs look to get back into this ball game in the bottom of the 6th. It's still 5-1 Bees, but Jose Julio Ruiz doubled and now stands in scoring position. Ruiz has not run particularly well. And the first pitch to Corey Vaughn is swung on and popped up into shallow right field. A long run for the right fielder, Bijan Rademacher, but he makes the catch in shallow right for the final out. Very nicely done. That ball nearly dropped for a blue base hit. But nonetheless, we're done with 6 innings of play at Regency Furniture Stadium. The Bees lead this game 5-1. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Regency Furniture Stadium, we've dedicated every Friday home game to remember everybody deployed. On Red Fridays, presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, the Blue Crabs will wear red uniforms to honor those who have served, plus tickets are just $5 when you show your military ID. Come help us celebrate those who have served our country at Regency Furniture Stadium every Friday night.
This is Charlie Valerio, and you are listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
We welcome you into the final third of a game of baseball, Game 7. Make that Game 6 of an 8-game road stand. As the Blue Crabs take on the Bees, I beg your pardon once more, Game 7. They always say, stick with your first instinct. Didn't go with it there. And Alexi Amarista sees a curveball in the dirt. He's 2 for 3 on the day. He's got an RBI double to his credit. That came back in the top of the second inning. Second pitch from Thompson is a rebound, and that's been the story of his start today. This pitch hit well to the right side. Ruby Silva gobbles on a couple of hops and gives it off to his counterpart right side infielder for out number 1.
And Daryl Thompson, who's thrown 110 pitches, now pitching in his 7th inning of work, shows the amount of trust that manager Stan Clyburn has in his pitching coach and ace.
As Thompson will get into a right-on-right matchup, there is some action in the Blue Crabs bullpen, some light throwing from a right-hander down the left field line. Thompson, working quickly as always, comes home with the first pitch, climbs the ladder and misses upstairs for ball number 1. Ozzy Martinez is 1 for 3 in this game. Like his predecessor Amarista, he has an RBI double. Second pitch in there for strike number 1. Defensive alignment for the Blue Crabs. From left to right in the outfield, it's Joe Benson, Corey Vaughn, and Tony Thomas. Here comes Thompson with the 1-1 delivery. It's a curveball that'll miss on the outer half. 2-1 the count. From left to right in the infield, it's Josh McAdams at third, Edwin Garcia at short. At second base, it's Ruby Silva. At first, Jose Julio Ruiz. Charlie Valerio calling the pitches behind the dish. And on the mound, Daryl Thompson. Earlier in this game, he climbed the Atlantic League historical leaderboards, finding himself now 5th place in Atlantic League history in innings pitched. Over 850 innings tossed. A bloop single could be coming. Corey Vaughn's speed says otherwise as he goes on a dead sprint, comes in and catches a blooper in shallow center field for out number 2. And what a rebound it's been for Daryl Thompson. After allowing 5 runs in the first 2 innings, he is on the verge of blanking the Bees for their 5th straight frame.
Yeah, he's been tremendous ever since the second inning when he allowed 4 runs and things seemed to be going poorly for Daryl Thompson. Well, he still has allowed 5 earned runs, but has not allowed a single run since the second. He's now gone 5 and a third inning without allowing a run, as the Bees tacked on 5 with only 1 out in the second.
It's the third batter in the Bees lineup, Alejandro De Aza, that swings through a changeup off the hand of Daryl Thompson, who self-proclaimed to have many pitches in his arsenal. When asked what type of pitches he throws, he says he throws all types of different pitches. 0-1 the count to De Aza, left-handed hitter. The right-handed Thompson jams up De Aza, and he sends a foul ball over towards the concourse level. The count, no balls and 2 strikes. Likely Thompson's last inning of work. If the Blue Crabs were to come back and take the lead in the bottom of this 7th inning, Thompson would be in line for his 48th Atlantic League win. That would also place him 5th all-time in the Atlantic League record books. 1-2 the count after a fastball misses up high. De Aza 0 for 3 in this game with a strikeout, a flyout, and a groundout. Number 8 awaits the 1-2 from Thompson. This pitch driven into the right center alley. Vaughn on his horse, and he moves over and makes it look easy on a well-hit line drive. Daryl Thompson throws 7 terrific innings of work, the latter 5 of which were incredibly impressive. Thompson's on his way back to the dugout. His offense will come in for the bottom of the 7th. First, it's stretch time in Southern Maryland. We'll let you listen to Sweet Caroline.
This is Kent Blackstone, infielder for the Blue Crabs. Here at Regency Furniture Stadium, we've dedicated every Friday home game to remember everybody deployed. On Red Fridays, presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, the Blue Crabs will wear red uniforms to honor those who have served, plus tickets are just $5 when you show your military ID. Come help us celebrate those who have served our country at Regency Furniture Stadium every Friday night.
This is John Griffin, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside Southern Maryland as we take you in to the bottom of the 7th inning. Hope you enjoyed Sweet Caroline as the Blue Crabs looking to enjoy a comeback. It starts with Charlie Valerio here in the bottom of the 7th inning. We look back at this game very similar to last night, in which the first 3 half innings of the game see heavy run support from both sides, and then a lot of zeros on the scoreboard afterwards. In the top of the first, the Bees scored a run. The Blue Crabs came back with one of their own in the bottom half of the inning. The Bees put up a quartet of runs in the top of the second. Neither side has seen a run come across since. 0-1 the count to Charlie Valerio, hitting out of the right-handed batter's box against Christian Friedrich, who has had a stellar outing. Valerio shows bunt, pulls back. Nate Caldwell, the home plate umpire, says strike number 2. As the southpaw Friedrich has had a very good outing. He has thrown 6 scoreless innings. 1 run scored by the Blue Crabs. However, it was unearned as an incredible play by Alexi Amarista puts away Charlie Valerio for out number 1 in Austin. It's just been that type of night.
It has been, and it's interesting because Valerio actually runs pretty well, and Amarista was sheeting over to his backhand side, going with his momentum towards third base, made an outstanding throw to first, but even the speedy catcher Valerio unable to beat out the strong throw from Amarista.
That brings up John Griffin, who has been very good against his former team. First pitch crosses on the outside corner, and that's been the MO for Christian Friedrich. He has been shopping at a Sherwin-Williams store of late, and by that I mean he has been painting the outside corner. I actually knew somebody back in college that every time he pitched, he would wear a Sherwin-Williams t-shirt. Of course, the paint store.
Where is Sherwin-Williams located? I've never
Oh, well, maybe it's just a local or a regional thing. Back home, it was a chain that was a paint shop, and they were all over the place. And every time he pitched, he wore a Sherwin-Williams t-shirt under his jersey. As Griffin chops one to the left side, Ozzie Martinez gets the long hop and throws it across the infield for out number 2. So it's a very popular paint store, and I see him wearing this shirt. And I said, what are you doing wearing that shirt? I don't really get it. He says, well, I wear this shirt every time I pitch because I paint the corners. And I love that story.
Well, no, there are Sherwin-Williams in this area. I am just unaware of the store myself.
As Edwin Garcia digs in as the last hope for the Blue Crabs in the bottom of the 7th. First pitch he sees, and a fastball upstairs that will miss for ball number 1. Coming into this game, Friedrich had an ERA of 4.39. That's dipped down to 3.78 with a terrific start tonight. Garcia smokes the ball to the right side, but right at the right fielder Bijan Rademacher. And we're through 7 innings of baseball played on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. The Blue Crabs are chasing 4 as we take you into the top of the 8th inning. Newcomer onto the mound when we return on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Blue Crabs fans, this is Tommy Thorpe, left-handed pitcher for the Blue Crabs. Did you know that every Thursday night game at Regency Furniture Stadium will feature the brand new food special, Clyburn's Chow Hall? Just for $30, you can enjoy all-you-can-eat food in the Legends Club. Clyburn's Chow Hall will alternate between beer and wings presented by Foster Grill off Waldorf, and tacos and margaritas presented by Mexico Restaurant.
This is Daryl Thompson, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome into the top of the 8th inning of baseball as Daryl Thompson's day has come to an end, but boy, what a day it was for many, many reasons. First of all, he struggles in his first 2 innings pitched, but rebounds and comes back to toss a 5 straight inning scoreless streak. In tonight's game, as you can see on the screen, Daryl Thompson became the individual with the 5th most innings pitched in Atlantic League history as he crossed that 853 2/3 innings mark as Daryl continues to climb the leaderboards here in Southern Maryland and in the Atlantic League. We take into the top of the 8th inning of baseball as the Blue Crabs are chasing 4 runs and a newcomer on the mound. It's John Hayes as number 18 comes in a relief role.
Yeah, John Hayes has done some starting and done some relieving this season, but most recently he's come out of the pen. Back on June 6th and June 8th, he pitched 5 1/3, did not allow a single run.
This pitch hit high into shallow center field. Edwin Garcia catches the first pitch of the inning for out number 1, and the Blue Crabs get a quick one as they're still chasing 4.
I'll tell you, Andrew, I did a little bit of research on Sherwin-Williams. I'm stunned that I don't know more about this store. They have 4,600 locations in the United States.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, but at the same time I didn't know because I have no clue whether it's a regional thing or not. Of course, I'm from the Midwest, so, a lot of the times there's stores out on the East Coast that people are shocked that I've never heard of. So who am I to say anything as the count goes to 0-1 to Taylor Motter.
I'm on Google Maps zooming in on places between innings, and I'm saying, well, there's one virtually everywhere.
Here comes John Hayes' second pitch tomahawks it for ball number 1. 5 runs in this inning for the New Britain Bees have come off of 9 hits. They did commit 1 error, and that led to the 1 Blue Crabs run of the game, which came back in the bottom of the first. Southern Maryland with just 4 hits in this contest. Hayes gives a cutter that paints the outside corner, and he's ahead 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jean has been very good this season. He was taken as the first round draft pick by the Blue Crabs in the Atlantic League Prospect Dugout Showcase in this past offseason. The 2nd overall pick. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count from Hayes to Taylor Motter. Motter 0 for 3 in this game with a pair of ground outs, one of which was a double play ball, the other a fly out to left field. Hayes out of the stretch, gets Motter to offer, but not enough to be considered a strike. And we've got a full count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. We can close the book on a historic day for Daryl Thompson. He goes 7 innings, allowing 9 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned. No walks, 3 strikeouts, 1 strikeout for John Hayes as he gets Taylor Motter swinging for out number 2.
And another strong start from John Hayes. Just going back to some of his other relief appearances, he started the year coming out of the bullpen in his first 3 appearances, did not allow a single run then, and then ever since returning to the bullpen, he's thrown 5 1/3 innings and not allowed a run. In total, he has thrown 9 innings out of the bullpen. He has allowed 5 hits and 3 walks, no runs. How about that as a stat line out of the pen?
Not too bad, as John was very good out of the starting role too, but when you can throw 9 scoreless innings out of the bullpen, it's tough to take him out of that position. The Blue Crabs bullpen has severely improved throughout the course of this season. They host a 1.11 ERA in the month of June, which is especially impressive considering that ERA was north of 7 at points of this season. Hayes, one of the ringleaders of this Blue Crabs platooned bullpen. Jared James sees a 3-0 count. Here comes the 3-0 offering from John Hayes, and we've got a 3-ball, 1-strike count. Jared James is one of the younger players in all of the Atlantic League. He's just 25 years old. He was drafted in 2016 out of Long Beach State, and he sends a high shot to the right side, should get foul, and just does escape this ballpark. Gets over near the kids' park. For just $6, you can come to the best playground in all of Southern Maryland and enjoy some baseball. At the same time, $6 to get into the kids' park. Also, considering it's a Thursday night, we should mention that it's one of our all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink of alcohol nights. Tonight, it's Mexico Restaurant presenting all-you-can-eat tacos, all-you-can-drink margaritas. On other Thursdays, it is all-you-can-eat wings, all-you-can-drink beer presented by Foster's Grill. 3 balls, 2 strikes, the count to Jared James. Wears number 11 on the back of his left-handed batting jersey. He wiggles the bat above his head. 2-strike approach ensuing as this pitch just misses a hair upstairs. As Jared James will reach. I am not one to question umpires' decisions, but I'm utterly shocked that that was not strike number 3.
Yeah, it looked awfully good, but ultimately ends up in a walk in this case. Seen a couple of pitches where Nate Caldwell has, I've not exactly agreed with the calls, but by and large, I thought he's done a decent job tonight.
John Hayes a peek over to first, and now he faces off against Jonathan Galvez. He's 2 for 3 in the game and sends a hot shot to center field. Shouldn't be a problem for Corey Vaughn, and it's not. We are heading into the bottom of the 8th. The Blue Crabs have some work to do after a solid inning from John Hayes. We'll be right back on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is John Griffin, infielder for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. When I'm not playing baseball, I'm watching it. That's why I'll be staying after the Blue Crabs game on June 9th to watch the Battle of the Badges game, where local police officers and local firefighters go head-to-head in a game of baseball. Come join me on June 9th and watch the best game of the year.
is Ruby Silva, and you are listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Josh McAdams comes up to lead off the Blue Crabs in the bottom of the 8th inning of action. 9-1-2 due up for Southern Maryland as they try to stage a comeback and try to get Daryl Thompson a nice celebration in the clubhouse after his historic day. He was not on the line for a win, even if the Blue Crabs come back, but boy, does it look good after a leadoff shot to left field by Josh McAdams. He has the 5th Blue Crabs hit of this day.
That's a good piece of hitting by Josh McAdams. He's all over that ball and lines it into left field for a base hit.
And that gives
Blue
way to...
Crabs need to get some more hits going if they're going to try to get back into this ballgame.
That gives way to Tony Thomas. Thomas 0 for 3 on the day, was 2 for 4 yesterday. His second consecutive start in the leadoff position in the Blue Crabs batting order. Thomas has played much better at home than he has on the road this year in his first season in Southern Maryland. The Blue Crabs still trying to crack the code that has been Christian Friedrich to this point. He's tossed 7 innings, allowing 5 hits, 1 run. It was not earned. He's not issued a walk, and he's struck out 7 batters. Thomas sees the 1-0 and drills it into his own dugout. That nearly took somebody's head off as they will dive into safety. But Thomas...
Wow. Yeah, you know, we talk about netting being installed in the stands, and that's the exact reason why, because if that ball had been, 6 feet higher, that would have been in the stands, and had there been fans right there, it could have been a serious issue.
Thankfully, it is avoided as Thomas slaps the ball over our heads in the press box. The count of ball and 2 strikes.
That ball was hit with extreme velocity.
He got every piece of that pitch. Him and Corey Vaughn are 2 individuals that when they get ahead of an off-speed pitch and send it over towards their dugout down the left field line, it is very dangerous. Showcasing their power nightly. 1-2 pitch, chopped into the dirt and will go foul. The count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. 5 New Britain runs in this game have come off of 9 Bees hits. They do have 1 error in this contest. That led to the 1 Blue Crabs run that scored in this game. That came in the bottom of the 1st inning. Southern Maryland has 5 hits in this contest. 1 of them to lead off this inning from Josh McAdams earlier. Deaza playing Tony Thomas pretty shallow in center field as a curveball misses in the dirt. 2-2 the count. As is the right fielder Rademacher. Now Thomas not somebody with particularly great opposite field power, but he does have the power to all fields. That it's a little bit of a surprise to see how deep the right and center fielders are, but it won't come to matter as Thomas swings through strike number 3 and the Blue Crabs are down to their final 5 outs of the contest.
Yeah, the top of the order so far today has struggled for the Blue Crabs. Thomas, Silva, and Benson, a combined 1 for 10 today.
And the 7-8-9 of the Blue Crabs batting order has been pretty darn good to this point in the homestand. They've struggled as well today, going just 2 for 9.
But comparatively, that's not too bad.
It's really not.
4, 5, and 6 are also the same 2 for 9.
And Silva smacks the ball to left field. Back to the track is Jared James. He'll catch it over his shoulder for out number 2. An aggressive swing by Ruby Silva nearly comes to pay.
And you know, sometimes statistics can be deceiving, and I think that possibly that top of the order number might be because Silva has hit the ball hard a couple of times, and Benson surely has. He had the double, a hard line drive to center field, and those all could have been hits. Sometimes a matter of just a couple of feet.
And that's just the weird thing about the game of baseball. And it has never made any sense to me. And I get it. I get why it's a thing, obviously. It's just a natural part of the game. There's no way of avoiding it. But sometimes when you hit the ball as hard as you humanly can and you get out, but then sometimes you just squeak a ball off the end of your bat and you're safe, it's one of the most frustrating things as a player. But typically those type of things will even themselves out. Benson takes a ball in the dirt and the count 2 balls and no strikes. The former Minnesota Twin comes up to the plate. He played in just over 20 games in his MLB career. One of those games saw him having a 4-hit contest with 3 extra base hits. Interestingly enough, he was a September call-up back in 2011. He played in 21 games in 22 days after being called up to the majors. Not your typical way to start a career. He would never make it back to the majors to this point in his career, however. 2-1 the count. Have to imagine that him and Stan Clyburn intersected at some point in their careers, as Stan was a longtime manager in the farm system of the Minnesota Twins. A two-seamer paints the outside corner, and Christian Friedrich works his way back to 2-2. A whole lot of twos on the scoreboard. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs here in Southern Maryland.
And Friedrich's pitch count remains low. He's thrown only 89 pitches. It's very likely that he will go back out to the mound for the 9th. And if you're the Bees, why not? Save some bullpen arms. And he's been able to retire Blue Crabs with ease at this point.
Yeah, he's been absolutely phenomenal.
And his control has also been terrific. Not a single walk. He's had 8 strikeouts.
This pitch hit hard to the left side, and a beautiful play by the shortstop, Alexi Amarista. A Derek Jeter-esque throw to second to peg the Blue Crabs to end the 8th inning of baseball. And that really, once again, just shows what has happened to Southern Maryland tonight. Well hit, well struck, well placed, but it doesn't matter as this New Britain defense has been tremendous. Although an error did heed the 1 run for the Blue Crabs of this game, John Hayes back out for the 9th inning, as we'll be right back here in Southern Maryland.
This is Brandon Compton, right-handed pitcher for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, and I know that I wouldn't be where I am today without reading. That's why I'm inviting everyone to the Southern Maryland Reading Night presented by the Southern Maryland Regional Library Association on June 22nd at Regency Furniture Stadium. The game will also feature a free lunchbox giveaway and a post-game firework extravaganza. You don't want to miss June 22nd, where we jam-pack reading, lunchboxes, and fireworks into a fun-filled night.
This is Matt Latos, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
We take into the top of the 9th inning of baseball here at Regency Furniture Stadium. Bijan Rademacher, the first New Britain Bee to come up, and he'll face off against John Hayes as the rain has started to fall here in Southern Maryland. The rain has been pesky all homestand long, but we have been able to avoid it in that we've been able to get all complete games in as far as the box score is concerned. First pitch from Hayes catches the outside corner. There was one game that was called in the bottom of the 5th inning. It would go down as a Blue Crabs victory over the Sugarland Skeeters, part of that 4-game win streak that was a season high. That was snapped last night, as yet another Hayes strike is swung through. 0-2 the count.
Yeah, and it's supposed to rain sporadically throughout the evening into the early morning hours.
Bijan Rademacher most recently played with the AAA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, the Iowa Cubs. Right-handed pitching, left-handed hitting matchup, and this one is poked to the left side. A weakly hit line drive is gloved with one hand by the shortstop Edwin Garcia, and Hayes has recorded 4 straight outs.
he's been terrific again out of the bullpen, and I think that's where Hayes seems to thrive. When he was put in the starter's role, he ran into a lot more trouble, but out of the bullpen, again, he is yet to allow a run.
And I beg your pardon, of course, a walk jam-packed in those 4 outs. Nonetheless, Logan Moore comes up. A changeup catches on the outside corner, and he's down quick, 0-1. Of course, Moore, the individual that flew out to give Daryl Thompson his record-breaking inning pitched, in which he found himself 5th in the Atlantic League history in innings pitched. Back in the 2nd inning of this ball game, 0-2 the count.
I'll tell you this also, Andrew. John Hayes, it might just be a matter of not being used to starting for him because he never started in college, never started in affiliated ball, and he really just started to start games, if you will, here with the Blue Crabs. So sometimes it just takes an adjustment period.
Yeah, as it were, he hadn't started a game in his entire professional career up until this season. He started more than 3 consecutive games for the Blue Crabs. As this pitch, a dribbler to the right side, Hayes comes to cover. A backhanded toss by Jose Julio Ruiz, Aaron Rodgers-esque, as 2 outs are recorded in this 9th inning.
It's another weakly hit ground ball towards the right side, though. A good sign for John Hayes. Who's now gone an inning and 2/3.
Hayes back up on the mound as the Blue Crabs pitching staff as a whole, that being Hayes and Thompson, have not allowed a single run since the top of the 2nd inning. Alexi Amarista steps in. He'll take the first pitch on the outside half. 1 ball, no strikes. Amarista's been pretty darn good to this point in the game. He's 2 for 4 with an RBI and a double to his credit. He's got the yellow and black cleats to match his black and yellow jersey. He drills this one into center field. Corey Vaughn comes in and catches it for out number 3. We are headed to the bottom of the 9th where the Blue Crabs will look to stage a comeback. Don't want to turn the dial. We'll be right back on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Tony Thomas, outfielder of Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. We all remember the day we fell in love with baseball. For me, it was when I watched the Field of Dreams. This is why I'm excited for June 21st, because on June 21st, the Blue Crabs are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Field of Dreams. And we have a special appearance from Dwyer Brown. You may know him as John Kinsella from the movie. You don't want to miss Field of Dreams night at the ballpark on June 21st.
This is Corey Vaughn, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
We take you into the bottom of the 9th inning of baseball. It's been an interesting game to this point. To be honest with you, Austin, it's been an interesting homestand for the Blue Crabs. A lot of unorthodox games, and this one fits the description. It was back in the top of the 1st when the New Britain Bees put up 1 run. The Blue Crabs did the same in the bottom of the 1st inning. The New Britain Bees then put up 4 runs in the top of the 2nd, and it seemed like it was going to be a long ball game, but here we are. It's only 9 o'clock. This game started at 6:35, and after the 4 runs in the top of the 2nd by the Bees, we haven't seen a single run since. As Christian Friedrich comes out for his 9th inning of work, this is the 2nd night in a row that a New Britain Bees starter has entered the 9th inning. Last night, Kyle Simon entered the 9th inning, but did not exit it. Corey Vaughn started off the inning with a big-time home run. Jim Fuller came in to close the deal. Jose Ruiz grounds one up to the second baseman, Motter. He's away for out number 1.
And possibly the most incredible part about this performance from Friedrich is his pitch count. He's now gone 8 1/3 and thrown 92 pitches.
Just phenomenal. And it speaks to the fact that the Blue Crabs are on the verge of going 2 straight 9-inning games without drawing a walk in either contest. Although they have seen the on-base percentage continue to rise of late, along with the batting average, but this game will do it no favors as they've had just 5 base hits. This pitch catches the inside corner to Corey Vaughn. As we mentioned, he hit a home run in the bottom of the 9th last night. As we sit here right now, Corey Vaughn has the most home runs in the Atlantic League with 40 since the beginning of 2017. The count 1 ball and a strike. You see the graphic displaying Corey Vaughn's incredible display. 1-1 the count. Vaughn takes a changeup on the outer half, and that looked low and outside. I think Vaughn agrees. And the count 2 balls and a strike. Make that a ball and 2 strikes. Rain continuing to fall in Southern Maryland. Vaughn swings through strike number 3, and the Blue Crabs are down to their final out here in Game 7 of an 8-game homestand. Charlie Valerio represents that final out, make that the final hope for the Blue Crabs. As Valerio's bat has been terrific of late this game, he's struggled a little bit. He's 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts.
Yeah, and he's generally been terrific against right-handed pitching. Beg your pardon, against left-handed pitching. But Friedrich has been an exception in a big way, as he's had Valerio's number.
And it seems as though everybody has been an exception against Friedrich. He has tossed a gem, to say the least. Strike gets across, and we're at 0-1. Friedrich toes the rubber out of the windup, and this pitch softly hit to the left side. And it'll go down as strike number 2.
Came into this game in his last 6 starts having an ERA of 2.94 or lower. Sorry, beg your pardon, at 2.94. Had not allowed more than 3 runs in a game. And that streak looks like it'll continue today.
Charlie Valerio, 0-2 pitch, driven down the left field line, and he stays hot. A double keeps the Blue Crabs alive as he represents a batsman that gets a ground rule double, in fact. It gets into the clubhouse.
Well, there it is, an actual ground rule double. We don't see these all that frequently. A double pertaining to the ground rules of Regency Furniture Stadium. Now, this is different than the automatic double, which is frequently referred to as a ground rule double. An automatic double, a ball that bounces once and then goes over the wall.
And after this pitch, I want you to explain that for our viewers just a little bit more when you're talking about the field as it is. As this pitch hit to the left side, could get through, but Ozzie Martinez gobbles it up and ends the ball game. That's how we wrap things up in Southern Maryland. A 5-1 Blue Crabs defeat at the hands of the New Britain Bees, as the Bees see a terrific game from their starter, Christian Friedrich. The MLB veteran tosses a gem in Southern Maryland and to some extent puts a damper on the night, which was all about Daryl Thompson. He goes 7 innings, allowing 5 runs, all of them earned. He allows 9 hits, strikes out 3, no walks allowed. Sees his ERA take an .18 hike, make that a .23 hike. He goes from a 4.2 ERA to a 4.43 ERA. Picks up the loss and drops to a 2-6 win-loss record. That doesn't tell the whole story for Daryl, as a couple of starts inflate that, and he hasn't gotten the best run support either. Nonetheless, the historical note to be taken from this evening for Daryl is that back in the top of the 2nd inning, he became the individual with the 5th most innings pitched in Atlantic League history. Austin, what are some of your takeaways, both statistically and from what you saw in this ballgame?
Well, I think a positive sign for the Blue Crabs has to be the continued strong performance from John Hayes out of the bullpen. He's become one of the most reliable guys for the Blue Crabs, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go in a lot of competitive games as maybe a 7th or 8th inning guy as they lead into Matt Latos, who's sort of become that closer. So it's a very positive sign that John Hayes has found such good success pitching out of the bullpen. Now, with the bats, there aren't a whole lot of positive takeaways here. Not a single player had multiple hits in today's contest. Thomas, Silva, and Griffin all went 0-4 today. With that said, there were a couple of players who hit the ball hard today, one of which was Joe Benson. It's good to see him hitting well and continuing to hit well at home, and the average not quite there yet for Benson, who is still in his very early portions of his Blue Crabs career. So he's got time to work on that, but still, I think that guys like Joe Benson are coming alive with the bat, but there still weren't a whole lot of positive takeaways on the hitting side for the Blue Crabs tonight.
I would completely agree, as everybody has those nights. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that the Blue Crabs had 11 hits last night. We're unable to match that with a final line of 5 hits. Make that 6 hits in the game for the Blue Crabs. They score 1 run. As for the Bees, they played 5 runs, 9 hits. They did have an error that led to the 1 unearned run of Christian Friedrichs today. Boy, was he terrific. As you see, the New Britain Bees platoon in a couple of individuals to make a difference in this ballgame. When you combine 3 individuals on the New Britain Bees batting order, looking at Alexi Amarista, Jason Rogers, as well as Jonathan Galvez, you're looking at a 6 for 15, 4 RBI night. And with 3 people who are able to put together line scores like that, it's just not your night in Southern Maryland. Daryl Thompson got the brunt end of that tonight. Daryl, as we said, goes 7 innings, allowing 9 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned. No walks, 3 strikeouts. Hayes goes 2 innings. He doesn't allow a hit or any runs, walks 1 and strikes out 1. For Christian Friedrich, he picks up his 4th win of the year, advancing to 4-1 on the season. He goes 9 innings, allowing 6 hits, 1 run. It was unearned. And how about no walks and 9 strikeouts for the left-hander Christian Friedrich? He really pitched well this evening, making the Blue Crabs fall to 15-32 on the season. The New Britain Bees advanced to 24-21. That's how we sign off on a June 12th evening. Tune in tomorrow for the final game of this 8-game homestand on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. First pitch will come at 6:25. Thank you for tuning in on a Blue Crabs defeat at the hand of the New Britain Bees. And remember, as always, go Blue Crabs.